left if that's available.
Papa Hotel Tango India Link, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Papa Hotel Tango India Link, Palm Springs altimeters 2985 radar contact, about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, so requesting straight in for 13.
If that's available, please.
Ever departure Papa Hotel Tango India Link, make straight in runway 13 left and clear to land. Wind is 0905.
Clear to land, runway 3 left, Papa Hotel Tango India Link, thanks.
Palm Springs clearance, Pilots 4658 is type PC final slant call, request clearance to Vegas S file.
This 4658 Palm Springs clearance. Good afternoon. Unable to give you S file, and I'll be full route down. Pilots 4658 is cleared to the Las Vegas Airport. VFR Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Check flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7. Squawk 6316.
Pilots 4658 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3. Initially climb 7,000, expect 025, departure 166 sounds, focus 6 switching side.
Pause 4658, free back is correct. Tango India Link, connect to the ground via Echo and frequency.
Fixing to the right via Echo, remaining on this frequency, Papa Hotel Tango India Link.
Ontario Tower says the 237 Charlie Alpha approximately 4 miles to the west inbound to land.
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, roger, inner left traffic. Left downwind runway 26 left before base.
Enter left downwind 26 left before your base 237 Charlie Alpha.
Charlie Tower United 242 on the visual for 20 right, returning for right base structure.
United 242 John Wayne Tower, runway 20 right, clear to land, wind 170.3.
Clear to land, 20 right, United.
Near 520 Yankee Kilo Palomar Tower, runway 24, clear to land, wind 210 at 1. Number 237 Charlie Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
Left base land 7 Charlie Alpha.
Palm Springs ground, Pilots 4658 is trying to weather going for taxi.
Pilots 4658, Palm Springs ground, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Trail right via Echo Bravo 465.
Riverside Tower, good morning, November 2903 Alpha with you on the island.
Number 2903 Alpha, Riverside Tower, good afternoon. Runway 9 clear low approach, report miss.
November 2903 Alpha, Global Road, runway 9, next report is
Palm Springs Tower, Pilots 4658 ready to go 3 and right side Bravo.
The radio area check.
Pause 4658, Palm Springs Tower, runway 31 right, clear for takeoff.
Shift takeoff 3 and right, Pilots 465.
Here's our Yankee Kilo, rush taxi into the ramp via Alpha. Pilots 4658, contact for departure.
Contact departure 465.
Says the 7 Charlie Alpha is clearly active taxi to the GA parking base.
Number 7 Charlie Alpha, and on this frequency taxi into the South Ramp via Sierra.
South Empire Sierra with you 7 Charlie Alpha base.
November 2903 Alpha going around.
Number 03 Alpha, confirm going around or going miss.
November 2903 Alpha going missing.
Number 03 Alpha, roger, execute the published missed approach procedure.
Flying is published mid-road procedure. November 2903
Piper 2903 Alpha, contact SoCal departure.
Contact departure, 03 Alpha.
Number 03 Alpha, departure frequency 135.4.
135.4 for departure. November 2903
Ontario Tower, November 516 Delta Mike, inbound RLS 26 left. Or 516 Delta Mike, Ontario Tower. Good afternoon, Ontario. Wind is calm. Runway 26 left, clear to land.
26 left, clear to land, 6 Delta Mike. Ontario Tower, November 36. Correction, 516 Delta Mike, clear via active at uniform, taxiing to the south apron.
Number 6 Delta Mike, roger, taxi on South Ramp via Sierra. Remain on this frequency.
Via Sierra on this frequency, 6 Delta.
Riverside Tower, November 2903 Alpha Riverside grounds, November 2903 Alpha, in Alpha request taxi to the transient party.
Number 2903 Alpha Riverside ground. In the future, don't switch to the ground frequency unless you're told to do so. Should stay with tower, exiting the runway all the way to the whole short point. Stay on this frequency for now. Taxi to Ram via Alpha.
Taxi to Red via Alpha. Okay. But transient via Alpha.
Runway clear. Johnny clearance. November 6th. Charlie Mike at Cherokee. I would like to attempt the I-4 rating.
Cherry 76 Charlie Mike John clearance. Good evening. Good luck on the I-4 destination. Will be Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo.
That's Kilo Oscar X-ray Romeo. 6 Charlie Mike.
Yes, sir. Good luck.
I'm going to sign off and collect some information for this destination. I'll sign back in. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Just report when you're back with the I-4. And how long do you think it'll be? It's not going to be more than an hour, is it?
No. I have to file and get some charts and plates.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll still be here, so it shouldn't be a problem. And we'll look for your flight plan to come through. Which you guys
Las Vegas Tower Plus 4658 visual 1 hour right 4500.
Plus 4658 Las Vegas Tower, runway 19 right, clear to land, wind 1807.
Clear to land 1 hour right 465.
Plus 658 exit right, taxi into the ramp via hotel, remain on this frequency today.
Exit right, red hotel, land frequency 58
Around number 95 for Whiskey Alpha's Piper Comanche PH orders Alpha. Like taxi to be active, VFR east departure with weather.
Calling Long Beach Ground, need you just to verify your call sign, please.
Sorry about that. 916 Whiskey Alpha, November 916 Whiskey Alpha.
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Ground, roger. And just confirm VFR eastbound.
Eastbound and east ramp just south of
Comanche 9016 Whiskey Alpha, roger, runway 26 right, taxi via Kilo.
Okay, 25 right, the Kilo, 916 Whiskey Alpha. Long Beach Tower, November 916 Whiskey Alpha, holding short, 25 right, Kilo, for departure, VFR east.
Around 16 Whiskey Alpha, Long Beach Tower, runway 25 right, clear for takeoff, right down with departure route.
Clear for takeoff, 25 right, right down with departure, 6 Whiskey Alpha. Good day, Palm Springs, ground scanning, double Delta, east red, India, close traffic, 31 right.
Papa Hotel Tango tonight, Palm Springs, ground say good aircraft thank you.
Corey says no scan.
Skyline Tango any Mike, thank you, runway 31 right, taxi via Echo and Bravo.
Echo and Bravo, 31 right,
We're 791 Juliet, towards ground left clear.
Okay, Skype 791 we see there's no like coach delivery with this field, so would we get our departure instructions with tower or with ground?
Always go with the lowest, so we'll start with ground, just say your intentions.
Okay, Skype 791 type Cessna 172 on the south members with the numbers requesting VFR advisories to
Number 791 Juliet, roger, departure frequency 134.9er, squawk 2061.
1249 is 2061.
Got 901 Juliet, read back is correct, are you ready to taxi now?
In a couple of minutes, just got to go to the side. Skype 791 south members.
Sky 791 Juliet, roger, runway 29 right. Taxi via hotel, correction, taxi via Alpha in Juliet.
29 right taxi by Alpha and Juliet, Skype 791.
Palm Springs Tower, Skyline Papa Delta Tango, Mike is holding short runway 31 right, Bravo, and for departure, close traffic.
Hello everyone, welcome, happy Monday, another VFR challenge. For today, something interesting. I think it's always interesting just to do a VFR challenge, but this time it's going to be hot. and it's going to be density altitude as well. Even, well, I should say actually pressure altitude combined with high temperatures makes an interesting density altitude departure. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to depart from Big Bear Airport and fly to Palm Springs in a ridiculous hot temperature area. So ridiculous actually that I needed to set 65 degrees Celsius. Somehow, I guess, in X-Plane to get my local air temperature here at Big Bear at 40 degrees Celsius. Now, Big Bear, I don't know if you know, Big Bear Airport is laying quite high up at 6,700-ish, I believe. I will show you in just a second. And funny enough, my photo reel, as you can see, is wintry time. So yeah, that's the big paradox of flying with photo reel. So actually now it's about 40 degrees Celsius outside here at an altitude of 6,700. I'm very curious. I never did this as an experiment to see actually how significant of a change that might be for my aircraft performance, particularly my takeoff performance. I think looking at my POH, we should be just fine. Let me grab my kneeboard here. Yes, takeoff performance. Well, this is at 2,200 pounds, so it can even be worse actually. It can also get to 2,550, I believe, in the actual POH. And if you look, you can see that around 6,700, let's pick 7,000 at 40 degrees is a bit hard to read actually. Well, let's say 2,600 feet we actually need for a ground roll to get to 50 at a 50 feet height, an obstacle that we can cross, for example trees or some kind of big fence. Fuzzles, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. The runway itself here at Big Bear, so this is the flight right from Big Bear to Palm Springs, most likely very familiar to all of you guys. Is let me see, so 6,700 feet, and let me check runways, 5,800. So actually with our 172S, which has a little bit of a more powerful engine than most other training small GA aircraft, for example the 152, we should be able to make this departure. But I'm wondering, I'm just curious to see whether it actually makes a significant change. And also how to deal with that. Now, it's a double-edged sword, I would say, in this case, this challenge, because it's not only interesting to me, at least, to see what our takeoff performance will be like here at Big Bear, but at the same time, as we descend down towards Palm Springs, it will get increasingly hot, right? Until eventually, when we reach down to sea level, we would hit about 65 degrees Celsius, which is just insane. But I'm curious to also see what that does, also with the oil temperature and my cylinder head temperature and stuff. Perhaps we can see some new behavior by the SimCoder's reality extension pack that we're flying. This is new to me, which is interesting. I also just before the stream I thought, oh my gosh, I should actually also think about oil, because if I remember correctly, there are different kinds of oil types that we can use, and they react differently to temperature. So when it's winter time, you usually change the oil to something that is more wintry proof than when you are flying in the middle of the summer at hot temperatures. Now, I recognize this stuff just based off my A2A era a long time ago when I was flying the 172 and the 182. To be honest, I'm not quite on par anymore on what these different oil grades actually are. I know here on my checklist, I believe for the A2A, I have mentioned it somewhere, but these are different kinds of oil grades or types, 25W and 60, and these are oils that you can then use within a particular oil range. Some are just generic, but some are really specialized for a particular temperature range. For example, really hot or freezing cold. And I don't recognize just 30 or 50. I do recognize that W50. And looking at A2A, that would be a temperature of between minus 18 degrees Celsius up to 32 degrees Celsius. So we actually need something hotter. So that's interesting. I think I need to look up what these different oil types actually do and what we actually need. Hey Peter, good to see you. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So I was also thinking, because that's also obviously the advantage also of a simulator, we could just change these oil types on the go and just see what SimCoders does. I'm hoping that we're not gonna mess up our engine, but we'll have to see what our oil temperature and pressure is doing. I'm curious just to see what will happen. So I just changed it to the 20W50 because I have no idea. So that's what I did. And anything else that I did? No. Well, already the cylinder temperature is 42 degrees Celsius according to SimCoders. You're good to go. Okay. And what's also interesting, and again, I'm not a real world pilot, and I don't think that this thing that I'm just going to mention is actually implemented in the next plane. But if you just have been flying, there's still some fuel obviously in the pipes lines of your engine airplane thing, and if it's really hot, if I'm correct, I'm not quite sure, but I believe that there could be some fuel vapor there, and if you decide to then start up your engine again just to get flying, that can mess up the whole engine start as well. Which is also interesting to me. I'm not quite into, even though I was building my own Skyhawk in PlayMaker and I've already forgot so many things. I was looking at the latest video of Todorico. He's building his TBM. Trying to wrap my mind around more of the physics and just the dimensions of how to even evaluate or assess an airplane, but also just learn more about engine stuff. More like becoming a little bit more of a not really a flight sim pilot, but a flight sim aircraft engineer. I think that's a wonderful enrichment of our hobby to also be much more familiar and knowledgeable of what an airplane should do and what an airframe should do and what an engine should do. But yeah, still a limited knowledge here. But that interests me, and perhaps we can see some behavior associated with oil temperature or different oil types and outside air temperatures and see what that does. So that's the challenge for today. Also very glad to see, I believe, that this Baron is actually a other PilotEdge member that just joined, which is great to see. Let me know in chat who it is. I would be very happy to acknowledge you. Again, these are VFR challenges, guys. Not only for me to challenge myself and to keep flying every week VFR, but also for you guys just as an invite, a free invite to join me each and every Monday at 17:30 Zulu time. We're already past the time, by the way. To just enjoy flying together on PilotEdge. It's a multiplayer network for, yeah. So here we are. It's silly, 40 degrees outside, and we have snow here. Very ridiculous. Also looking forward to the new Ortho XP because I'm also thinking about redoing all of my tiles and actually expanding also my library of tiles to include the Western expansion as well. I currently only have the subscription for the core original service area of PilotEdge. So I don't know if these styles are just universal, and no matter whether I use Ortho or whatever kind of download resource, I will still get the same images. In addition, I also like to see satellite imagery of the waters as well. Initially I thought it might be fun to also fly a float plane and to be able to actually land on animated water, but afterwards I thought, well, I should not have done that actually. You can see already a bit of that tile. It's also ugly, just the sharp corners. But when I was looking at others, streams of others who have been using photo satellite and also use some kind of a blended mode where that photo reel is actually blended with the animated X-plane water. My gosh, that looked so cool. I want that too. So that's on my list as well. Anyways, Big Bear, winds are coming from the northeast, if I remember correctly. That's the northeast. So that's runway 08, I think. 8, I see. Yeah, 8. The airport facility directory recommends, or the airport here recommends us, instructs us to always depart with a 10 degree left angle here, away from the urban area. Would also work, I guess, there. Yeah, just to fly over the water and get away. So that's what we're going to do. Runway 08. We're already at 6,700. We're going to fly to Palm Springs in a easterly direction, generally. So let's pick 7,500. We don't need any additional height here. I believe we can make it out of here. We can just follow this valley here and get down and just fly all the way around, or just on top of it. I don't know. I just also like to scout around this area. Actually, it's very, very pretty. And guys, I've now also, as also mentioned in the previous stream, my GNS 430, right, from RealSim Gear. And I need to familiarize myself, or I'd like to familiarize myself with just the different pages of the GNS. I'm a total noob still. So I've set up my GNS also to be a window here that I can bring up in my stream here, just to fiddle around and put in waypoints and to see if I can actually get myself to Palm Springs using the GPS and learning some additional things about it. So if you have any knowledge to share about my GNS or have some tips, please share. It's always much, much appreciated. That's the flight for today. So short, fun, high density altitude, hot, incredibly ridiculous hot temperatures. Let's see what our Cessna 172 does. Hop into the cockpit. There we are. Alrighty. What do we need to do? Well, I'm not going to do the external walkarounds. Fasten our seatbelts. Very good. Then we close the door. Very good. Again, parking brakes. Those are set. Fire extinguisher, blah blah. Doors closed, windows closed. ELT. Flap lever is up. Excuse me. And our flaps are also actually up. My mixture is working, throttle is working, my trim is working, a little bit down. I like both. In avionics are off. Everything's off except beacon. Off. Very, very good. My flight controls to the right. That one goes down. That one goes up. That one goes down. That one seems to be up. Elevators free. Also trim tab I see is changing, and my rudders very, very good. Yeah, as you can see, 42 degrees Celsius here. Alright, fuel seems to be just fine for this tiny flight. Avionics on, transponder is off in 1200, and I see digits, which is good. And there is my GNS. Now let's see if this works. Boom. Yeah, so this is the window of that Garmin. I'm also just looking at the Garmin here in my home cockpit, and I thought it might be nice just to bring that up as a separate image as well, so I can show you guys how the thing actually works. Now again, Garmin Reality XP, for those who don't know, so additional software, very nice. You have the actual authentic, mostly the authentic interfacing of the actual GNS. Again, Reality XP. One disadvantage though is that this product also makes use of the actual Garmin navigation database, an obstacle database. And so when you buy this product, you get the trainer, the Garmin trainer database, which is actually dated from 2007, and you can mess around and try to import the database from the GTN 750 product and do all kinds of things, but that's an important disadvantage that you need to know about before you buy yourself into Reality XP software. In my case, I got myself the latest actual Garmin database. As you can see there, aviation database is quite current, and it's also fun just to obviously know that, especially when you're an IFR pilot, you need to make sure that your navigation database is up to date. Unfortunately, we cannot use Navigraph here for RTXP. It really is built on the actual Garmin database. Hey Christian, good to see you. Glad to join. Thank you for joining, man. Hope you are doing well. And guys, Crash Tender is now also part of the PilotEdge club. He has a PilotEdge account and he's already busy doing his cat ratings, which is so good, Crash. Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, that's how the Reality XP works, and here we go. So I can now go in. You can also do that self-test. Now these are still stuff that I just keep on pressing enter and just go through these pages. but I actually like to know what I actually need to do here. So this is some kind of calibration page where the GNS says, well, you need to test whether I'm actually working properly, whether the right deflections are corresponding with my CDIs here, so many degrees. Now I'm not quite sure how that works, so something that I need to study. And what I really like about this is that you, and I've already did this for a couple of minutes a couple of days ago. I just start up Explain, and I'm just sitting here in front of my GNS and just flipping through pages and see how the thing actually works, which is really, really nice. But in this case, I'm just going to skip that. Again, a self-test to see how many satellites are actually active, which is really, really cool. And here is Big Bear. So already at the side of 08. And what I'm going to do is to actually set some nav points in, waypoints, just to see how that works. We can just fly VFR, no problem. But I think it's just fun to familiarize myself with the GNS as well. But that's for later. I'm just checking whether this thing actually works. Let's continue our checks. Off. This looks good. Yeah, this is also a good test. Looks good. Again, this is a bug. I've mentioned this now a couple of times. SimCoders replied that this is actually not a bug that has to do with SimCoders. Obviously, the guys are doing so great work. But it has to do with Explain, some kind of vacuum weird bug, I was told, that makes my HI get stuck exactly to the north. Now we're already pointed a bit to the north, but yeah, as soon as we start up the engine, it recalibrates, which is a bit annoying. But it will be fixed soon. Explain knows. Yes, airport elevation 6,700 and a bit. 50. Alright, so our current altimeter setting should be 2998. Now what I did, by the way, I downloaded the real world weather, but I just changed the temperature. So in terms of winds and stuff, it should be all fine. And winds are actually significant today, if you look at the windsock. So it's about 10 knots or so. Yeah, it favors 08, so that's good. That's the direction that we need to go to. Yes, and everything is just fine. Then avionics off, batteries off. Why am I doing my batteries off? Because we're not going to go outside. Batteries on. Let's prime the engine. Parking brakes are set. Fuel tanks set to both. 1, 2, 3. Positive fuel flow there. Food pump off. And again, everything looks good. No one is walking around, so clear prop. Mixture full in. Oil pressure is already in the green within 30 seconds. You can see the oil temperature is already almost in the green, so that's interesting. Let's lean for ground here. Rising the RPM, and there a bit of a... No, it's still rising, and you can see that obviously because we're so high, we need a lot of, we can actually use a lot of leaning. There's the dip. So this is our leaning setting. Set it to 1,000. Interesting. Alternator on. We see a rise there, and then we turn on the avionics, and I can use my little USB keyboard. And how do I do that? I need to put on mode C. Yes, and that's about it. Yeah. Nice. It's actually the first time I'm actually using it on stream, which is cool. What's also interesting, some trick that Keith mentioned in one of his IFR instruction videos, is that obviously now through the checks I need to turn on my avionics just to see whether they're actually working, then turn them off and start the engine and turn on my avionics again. And you can see the GPS has just reset. So that means that when I've actually put in a flight plan, I lost my flight plan. So usually just to save fuel and tachometer time, hops time, or what is it called? time, especially when you're renting an airplane, and that's in that sense it's better actually just to request or get your clearance, IFR clearance or whatever, while the engine is still off, and when you have your clearance to just have the time just to set your flight plan, and then you'd like to actually save your flight plan so that you can turn off the avionics, turn them on again, and reload your flight plan so you can just continue your flight, which are subtle little things, but those are nice, I think. Anyways, 1200 we're squawking, that's good. So now we go through these pages again, and there we go. Yes, I've also set the 530 brightness here, the virtual brightness of the 530 to black, because I just like to fly primarily with this one, even though my COM2 works and my nav2 works and stuff. What's really nice, I've also have the Reality XP 530 version, and you can make those talk together, connect those. You can say, actually, this is my primary master device with COM1 and nav1. But you can also swap those. So now actually my GNS here is COM1 and nav1, and these are nav2 and COM2. So I just lowered the brightness there. In any case, when we are building our own Skyhawk, I'm going to put this thing on top and build in the basic radio stacks. Yes. Let's listen to some music. AWAS 135.925. .925.
Big Bear City weather. Wind 100 at 10. Visibility
110 at 10.
Sky clear. Temperature 42. Dew point 43. Altimeter 2999.
Yeah, that corresponds with our altimeter. So our altimeter is working. That's good. PilotEdge, how is the building the sky going? Well, I still need to start with that. I actually plan to first complete my IFR training. And just depending on how many people are actually interested to join into these VFR challenges, I'm gonna swap my Mondays for either IFR training or for VFR for these VFR challenges. Yeah, as soon as I complete my IFR training, I will continue the build of these Skyhawks. So meanwhile, I'm studying as much as I can, also about Blender and all kinds of other stuff to be prepared. So as soon as I start, I can start right away. Let me see. Yeah, so we got winds, obviously. 110 wish at 10. Yeah, so that still favors runaway 8. On this was correct, and everything is running. You can see oil temperature already in green, but not ridiculously in the green. So that is good. What is actually our CTAF at Big Bear? It is 122.725. 122.725. No, Tim, you need to actually use your GNS. Let me see. 122. 122. Big knob, inner knob. It's interesting. 12725. Oh man, this is so much more precise, my GNS here, than the Cytec radio panel. 1725, come on Tim. Yeah, very good. And swap. And what we can set already in the standby is the tower frequency of Palm Springs, right? 119.7. There you go. And also in the COM2, we can set the ATIS. 118.25. 118.25. Very good. Which I also like now, because I have the Cytec panel and the GNS. I now have my COM1 and my NAV1 and my COM2 and my NAV2 in full display. So I can have I don't have to reset all of those turning knobs. I just have one, which is not a big thing, but it's just nice. Sunday, thank you for the follow. Thanks, appreciate it. Welcome. Okay, so very, very nice. We'll just take off, and then I'm going to plan my, going to use my GNS there. Good. Again, engine is already very, very warm. Also, if someone knows, I'm also curious. I mean, we're currently leaned for ground, which is quite extensively leaned. But I don't think that this is actually the setting where you should use to take off at a high density altitude airport. But it shouldn't be full in either. How do you determine what mixture setting you need at a high density altitude for takeoff? I would say peak RPM, but we're already currently leaned at stationary RPM for a high RPM. Perhaps we should do that for the run-up or during the power check. I'm not quite sure. So if anyone knows, please let me know. And again, 08 is going that direction, so we need to go to the left. That makes sense. BG Baron is still next to us, which is nice. Also, engines running. What we could also do, just to make sure, because you never know, we also have air-to-air frequency. And what I can do is set that in the COM2 now. That's 1 to 1.75, the air-to-air frequency, guys. I'm not quite sure. 1 to 1.75, I thought it was so. And I can actually now listen to COM2.
2 miles with Alex, turn right turn heading.
No, it isn't. 1 to 1 point. I thought it was 1 to 1.75. Well, if anyone knows what the air-to-air, pilot-to-pilot frequency is, where we can freely chat on PilotEdge, I think it was 1 to 1.75, but apparently it's not. Alright, let's go. Everything is set. Yeah, rocket brakes released. Brake tests, works. And Big Bear, traffic, Sky Pop tilting. Mike is taxiing to runway 08, straight out departure. Big Bear. Ah, you can see that the oil temperature is now already pretty high, at least for taxi. Winds are coming from the back, so pushing my yoke in. There we go. So the air is relatively thin at a high pressure altitude, so also the prop has a lot more difficulty generating thrust. 1, 2, 3.45 air-to-air I use. Yeah, FlyLogic, but that's actually the support channel that PilotEdge is using, that 123.45. I also initially thought that was a frequency that we could use for that, but they actually rather like us not to. And I believe 1 to 1.5, that's guard. Yeah, I'm also not quite sure. I thought it had a 7 in it. .42 degrees. Yeah, so you can see the oil temperature is yeah. So one thing obviously which was not that explicitly on my mind while we were doing our startup here is that we should have actually minimized obviously our time doing our startup and get off and taxi right away, because now we don't have any airflow just getting into the engine and cooling the engine. So we are heating up our engine quite extensively. I still would like to do a run-up though, which is also going to further increase our oil temperature. This is our run-up area, good. Alright, and turn around into the wind. There we go. Alrighty, to 1,000. I use one with no issue, but guess might vary. Say yeah, FlyLogic. Yeah, I think we can use it, but I think someone just asked PilotEdge about this, and there was actually a separate pilot-to-pilot frequency, but perhaps I'm wrong. Okay, so once more. Now, for example, the run-up right now. Should I actually do that in the leaned? I think so, in the lean setting. Let's do that. Let's see what happens. Can we actually reach 1800? Oh, we sure can. Everything looks good. No enunciator messages. Left mag. Good enough. Drop back to both. Right mag. Good enough. Drop back to both. And idle. Goes down very slowly, by the way. It's really laggy, that RPM. Perhaps I'm imagining things. Still, it's running. That's good. Let's just go full power here. Let's see what happens. Look at this. 2000 RPM. That doesn't sound like a strong, powerful engine to do a short field takeoff. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I am going to set flaps short field takeoff. I'm going to enrich in it a bit. Still like to know what's actually happening there, what I should do in terms of the procedure. Baron is coming as well, which is really cool. No one is on final. Big Bear traffic, Sky Hotel Tango India Mike is departing runway 8 for a straight out departure, 7,500. Big Bear. Alright, let's use every inch of this runway. Exciting, guys. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Into the wind. Good. Again, yeah, mixture bit in. I'm very wary of my RPMs here. What I should also have done is picked a halfway point on the runway. So I know that when I cross that point, I haven't reached 75% of my rotation speed. I know that this is not something that I'm going to risk, and I should actually brake and abort. And now I don't know. So yeah, that's a bit bad. I could still look at the airport diagram, but now I'm already going. Brake sets. Full power. You can see with that little bit of increase in mixture, we have much more RPM, which is good. Airspeed is slowly going up. Look at how slow that airspeed. This is interesting. Oh, this is very noticeable. $60. Wow, this is slow. Very slow nose rise, pitch. Nose down a bit already. Wow, that was new. Look, my speed is still decreasing. What is my RPM doing with my HET? Is nicely high up, so that's good. Nothing I could change there, or what I'd like to change. Still climbing. There's actually also a departure procedure going the other way. No, or also this way. I'm actually not sure. Where we should at least fly, what was it? 200 feet per nautical mile. Which is actually tricky here. Alright, one flap up already. I think as part of the short field takeoff, I should actually retracted my flaps at a particular height. Terrain advisory on my GNS here. Speed is now just usual VY indicated. 10 degrees a bit to the left, so we're not flying over that urban area. Sunday, do you take off leaned or full condition, then after takeoff lean in high elevation? Do you take off leaned or full condition? Well, Sunday, that's exactly my question. I thought we should actually, at such a high density altitude airport, we can actually fly or take off with a lean setting. That's what I just did. Still am. But I didn't figure out a procedure or a method of how to know how I should actually lean my mixture for takeoff. I know how to do that for taxi. Speed is improving, 7,500 is already there. Big Bear traffic, Sky Hotel Tango Mike is leaving the traffic pattern area to the northeast. That's 7,500. Last call, Big Bear. Good, so now we can lower that nose and get to Palm Springs, guys. Speed is increasing, which is good. EGT is nicely high up. Oil temperature is still in the green. It's high, but it's still in the green. And oil press is also good. It depends on outside temperature as well, I think. Yeah, Fission, true. So I know that it is dependent on all kinds of factors, but as a pilot I'd like to know some kind of a procedure by which I can determine what my mixture setting should be for takeoff, specifically. Okay, there we go. Let's reset my RPMs here. .40 degrees outside currently at this altitude, so this is ridiculous. So the temperature right now on those desert areas, field air on the ground, is like 65 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Celsius, which is ridiculous currently. Also descending here, which I shouldn't. But hey, I needed to have my local air temperature to 40 degrees just to exaggerate the effect of density altitude there. A bit more power. Yeah, so I lost my altitude because I trimmed and then I reset my RPM, which is not the right order. There we go. I do think that my wind sound is just a bit too much. Is that environmental? This should be off, by the way. Yeah, that's better. I already have my airframe sounds coming from something else. Dieter, in the UK, flap retraction varies depending on local condition, weather, noise abatement, and airspace restrictions. Roger that. I believe with the short takeoff is actually a little bit more precise, at least in the POH of the 172S. Again, I should look it up. Perhaps I already have that here on my checklist. Short field takeoff, flaps 10, brakes, full throttle, crosswind correction, subfield, yes, acceleration, hover, nose wheel, rotate, flaps, retract when at VX. That's something that I wasn't aware of at all. I was just looking at my speed, like I should not go any slower than 60 indicated. But I wasn't wary about VX and VY for a short field takeoff. So procedurally I should have been a little bit more prepared. Still though, we're doing fine. GPS time. Right? We could just use visuals. What we're doing is we're actually just flying all the way around these mountains here. So it's actually quite basic into the Palm Springs area, and there we are. But I'd like to mess around with the GNS. So let's do that. So here we are flying. Very good. I can zoom out. Yeah, there's Palm Springs. Now, just to make it a bit more fancy, I'd like to pick up Yucca as a waypoint. We don't have to fly Victor Airways as VFR pilots. Even more so, I would actually avoid those because those are used for low IFR flight. And you will also see other aircraft, small aircraft or high-speed aircraft, jets. Jets, you don't see jets there, but well, fast airplanes flying here on PilotEdge on those Victor Airways. But in this case, I'm just curious. Even though we're flying on Victor or on VFR altitudes, we will be separate, right? Clear from that IFR traffic, but still. So I'd like to capture the Victor 386, then go to Yucca, and then go to Palm Springs and put it into my GNS. Should be basic, I think. Max, thank you guys for all your suggestions and tips. I'm new to this whole thing and have always wanted to try it. Is this game really playable with a keyboard and a mouse? And if I did need a joystick, what are some good cheap ones for beginners? Nice question, Max. Well, first off, welcome to this game. This is, I would say, a world that you're entering. A world in terms of learning, in terms of community, in terms of your experience using the flight sim. And if you're totally new to flight simming, I would say, well, just fiddle around with flight sim first. With a mouse and a keyboard is, I wouldn't even call it bare minimum. I would say you really need a joystick. There's no way flying a airport, get a nice feel for what the hobby or what the game might provide you just using a keyboard and a mouse. So get yourself a very cheap one, or get one from a friend and play around with it. And then once you have a joystick, which could be a yoke, but I would just say a basic joystick, just go fly as much as you like. Don't do anything too challenging or too difficult, but just have fun and see whether you like it. X-Plane offers a free demo, so you can familiarize yourself with X-Plane. Also see whether your computer is strong, powerful enough to give you sufficient FPS. And then you gradually upgrade your gaming experience based on whether you still like to fly. You can join forums, or you can watch here on Twitch and learn a little bit more. You can also get yourself a subscription here on PilotEdge, or you can fly with ATC as well. But these are all add-ons, you could say, that are optional, and everyone uses different add-ons, also different sims. So I would say start very, very basic, get yourself a joystick, a very, very cheap one, and have fun. Have fun. I think it's fun for you. Yeah, Max, absolutely. Alright, so again, flight plan. I want to go there, yes. Then my first... Yeah, so this is interesting, right? So I don't want to fly direct to Yucca. I want to join the Yucca airway. That's what I'd like to do. Now, that's obviously always a VOR radial, so just using my basic VOR and my CDI, this would be no problem at all. But using the GNS is a bit different. I would say let's put in Yucca. No, this one I should... Oh, and I'm changing the COM frequency. Wrong dial. Yucca. Yucca. It was with a... Yeah. Let's go the other way around. This is so much more easy than using your mouse here on in X-Plane. My gosh, especially when you have Trek IR. Yuki, intersection. Central, southern, central. I think that's okay. Yuki. No. Huh. Very interesting. Can I then change it? Delete it, or can I just go over it? Should I? Oh my gosh! You cannot edit. Okay. Again. I also shouldn't be flying into a restricted area here. I think I'm fine, but let's just really fly a bit to the south. Yucca. Yucca. Yeah, southern west USA. That's better. Or you're flying south. That's good. Yucca. Roger. We'd also like to see a DME reading here, so you have some sense of distance. Enter. Yucca. Yuki. Yuki, go away, Yuki. Remove. Yes. Okay. Alex, hey, I spotted that you have Garmin 30 on board. Could you please show how to open free map like it's on yours? Alex, I don't know what you're asking. Could you please show how to open the map? No. Your route map, your flight plan. It's just the flight plan button. Just hit the FPL button. And this is for flight, right? This is something different, just to make sure. And I would show you in just a second. First, need to put this in. So there is Yucca. We're we're already near Yucca. And then we need to go to Palm Springs airports. Yeah, so this is again very, very basic, but it's fun. Palm Springs. Enter. Yes. 23 nautical miles. ETA. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So now I have this. Now I like to go back to the original map. Perhaps that's what Alex was referring to. Again, if you, in the real thing, if you keep use a long press for the clear button, that would actually bring you back to the map or radar. Perhaps that's what you mean, Alex. But that's not implemented here on the GNS yet. That long press data command doesn't really work. So what do I need to do then? I'm going to click out of the... Yeah, so there we are. There's the route. There's Yucca already very nearby. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, just for fun's sakes, let's turn around here. Hey, that's interesting. That's an airplane. Which has blended into the photo reel as some kind of a fossil. Let me look at that. Yeah, or is it some kind of graveyard thing? Something that has crashed there? I don't think so. That's nice. Alright, there's a big climb here. Perhaps it's an updraft. Again, terrain. Yeah, there's Palm Springs already, so we're very nearby. So, the challenge for me, as we're now circling away from Yucca, is to join that Victor Airway towards Yucca, rather than just flying direct to Yucca. Using the GNS, rather than just using plain old VFR navigation. Downdraft here. Sunday, no any approach. We're just VFR, so it's going to be a plain old VFR approach into Palm Springs. Okay, flying away from Yucca, as you can see. So, how do we do this? I'd like to fly to Yucca from a specific course. Yeah. I think I can use OBS mode. Select OBS course to... No, I don't want to go to Palm Springs, but to Yucca. No. Let's go to flight plan. And say Yucca, go direct to Yucca. Activate. Yes. So it's now saying right turn to 161, as you can see. It's now drawing a line between my airplane, my current position, and Yucca. And now I can hit OBS. Yes. And now I can put in a course that we want. And what course do we want? 329. But is this... This is an outbound. This is away from Yucca, right? I think. Let's see. What was it? 329. No. 3. Three, 2, 9. Enter. Yes, looks good. Yeah. And if we are even a bit more fancy, we can actually tell the autopilot to join the Yucca. What does it actually show? Is this an unlimited, never-ending line? Yes, it is. Okay. So now I can do multiple things. So for my IFR training, I will actually also try to use the GNS. Still, I love just flying Slant Alpha, to be honest. But what we can do, we're now in V-lock mode. GPS mode. Yeah, you can see my CDI change, right? So now it's off and now it's on. Now it's actually reacting to my CDI here. And now what it does is actually inputting this course to Yucca. So now I think if I change this, that line changes on the GNS. Does it? No, it doesn't. No, because this thing doesn't do anything right now. Let me see if I can wrap my mind around this. So now it's off. What did it just do? It changed that course. OBS. OBS is on. No, wait. GPS off. OBS. Yucca. Right. It changed the course. What was it? 326? 329. Just fiddling around, guys. Love to learn more about the GNS. 329. Enter? Yeah. Yeah. But I'd like to see my cross error thing track here on my CDI, and I think I can just press the CDI button to make that happen. But then the line changed. Boom. Now it's that purple line. It's totally changed. And I think it's now changed to this course. 24. Two. 9. Now obviously we can just fly this is 2. Should actually be different. 329. Like this. Yeah. But that line on the GNS is now totally disappeared. Still have OBS on. Yeah, I don't quite get too low terrain yet, I know. Press enter terrain page. No, clear. So descending quite a lot. Yeah, so now I'm just flying now I'm just flying plain old VOR, right? So southeast. Yeah, I get this. However, and it's saying GPS. Yeah, GPS. Oh, but I've changed the rows here, but it doesn't do anything. Yeah, so it does read GPS, but it's now that purple line on my GNS, which is not the line that I'd like to fly to. So again, yeah, I know. Flight plan. In direct. Yes. And now OBS. Can I now change it? No. I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So let me just fly direct. Enter. I can do that actually differently. Just go to Yucca, then say direct, 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 direct. No. Enter. Yeah, there we go. And I could actually turn on my autopilot. Boom. And press nav mode. And also press VS. And let's go just this altitude, and it should just fly on its own. Yeah. Which is very, very boring, but it does work. Looking at the terrain, this is just fine. We're flying below 3,000 feet AGL, so we can stick to pretty much any altitude. So still the engine is doing fine with 41 degrees Celsius here at 7,000 feet. So yeah, this is interesting. Let's also prep for that landing. How many miles do we need to go? 8 nautical miles, if you can read that. Yeah, on the GNS. So, COM2, 118.25.
Palm Springs INTL Information Hotel.
Hotel.
2100 Zulu weather. Wind 100 at 10. Visibility 6.
110 at 10.
Temperature 63. Dew point 43. Altimeter 2999. Arriving runways 13 right, 13 left.
Yeah, so there could be a problem here because I set my own weather. That we could get assigned a different runway at Palm Springs that is not really corresponding with our winds. I thought I could also fly those lines on the GNS with on the CDI, but apparently that doesn't work. Okay, map, we got a hotel, Yucca is over there, so that means that around Yucca, or once we hit that highway, we are around 17 nautical miles away, which is still pretty far away actually. So once we are, yeah, around there, so in that inner, yeah, so once I just see Palm Springs there, we can do a first sign in. 119.7, we can already swap the frequency.
Yeah, 1248 Angeles Tower, runway 24 right, clear to land, wind 240 at 7.
31 charts, Palm Springs, and because we've got parallel or multiple runways, you can also add to your first call when you check in with Tower where you like to park, so they know what runway would then suit your parking spot. So I would say southeast or east hangars, and so I'm hoping that we get 3-1 right. If not, that's fine as well. But we got a hotel. Okay, this whole autopilot thing is actually ridiculous. Off. Again, such a nice area. So there's the big mountain of Palm Springs, so the airport should be around there.
452 Alpha Romeo is about 7 miles southeast, looking for a full stop with the weather.
Number 45 Alpha Romeo towards Tower, make straight in, runway 29 right. Clear to land, wind 270 at 8.
452 Alpha Romeo.
Oh, my landing lights were still on. Well. Alright, but the engine is still doing just fine at 41 degrees Celsius, at least with all of that wind coming in. And looking also at the oil temperature, I don't know what my cylinder head temperature is doing. You don't have a instrument like that. Also something important, you can see we got some gyro drift. Yep, it's about 155. So there we go. 8 is we have hotel, and Palm Springs is over there. You can also zoom out a bit. Wonderful. Which is nice. Thanks for that follow, DR Corvette. Dr. Corvette, I presume. Welcome to the stream, thanks.
Number 420 Victor Lima type Aero. VFR flight following to San Diego.
What a nice area. Okay, so here's that highway. So we can follow that along if we like to get into the Palm Springs area. The airfield should be around there, I think. going down. What's the airport elevation of Palm Springs? That
Section
is
5790 Burbank ground. Did you call ready?
500-ish, so 1500.
Burbank Grand Plus Jet 5790. I didn't, but I am ready with India taxi at from the landing.
Too many palm trees.
Section 5790 runway 15 taxi.
Yeah,
is Delta
Corvettes.
Bravo.
We'll have to see.
15 via Delta.
So traffic point altitude is at 1500 feet.
United 1248.
Now, as we are descending, we need less
Exit
leaning
left
on the mixture.
Alpha Alpha. Cross runway 24
So it's always
left at
important
Alpha
to
and contact
be
ground
wary of that while you are
0.65.
descending, because if you don't, and especially if you have been flying at a high cruising altitude, you might be going into a traffic pattern or approaching a traffic pattern with the mixture almost full out, and you actually can choke the engine, which is not good. Or choke the engine. Well, make your life a lot more difficult than it should be. And it has to be. Alrighty. I think that the airport is over there. Okay, I think we can do our call. At the tower, hotel. Look at the bottom of my heading indicator. We're coming from the north, and we're about 10 nautical miles or so at 6,000. Okay. Palm Springs Tower, good day. Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango India Mike is 10 miles north of the field, currently at 6,000 with hotel inbound for a full stop. We'd like to park at the east side if that's possible.
PHTIM, Palm Springs Tower, and you said you're inbound from the southeast, you said?
We're coming from the north, 10 miles.
PHTIM, Bert, midfield right downwind, runway 31 right.
We will report midfield right downwind 31 right. Thanks, Papa Mike. Perfect. 31 right. That's exactly what we want.
Turn right, heading 130.
So let's get down slowly. Again, landing lights are on. Everything's on. Mixture is something that we should look at. As you can see, my RPM is decreasing. HET is now also decreasing. So a little bit more.
Towards Tower Sky.
What goes? Be wary of that.
Runway 29 right.
31 right. We're still in sync. That's good.
Number 2 Alpha Rum, runway 29 right, cleared to land.
Good land 29 right to Alpha Romeo.
And yeah, there's our GNS.
United 1288, Los Angeles ground. Taxi to terminal
In
via
the Tursa.
remain this frequency.
Taxi to terminal, remain with you for 40.
Cross track, so interesting stuff.
Palm Springs Towers, Papa Hotel, Papa Mike Sierra is about 10 miles north of the field, inbound for full stop, parking east side. Papa
That's
Mike Sierra.
wonderful to hear. Sounds like a Dutch guy. Papa Hotel, what was it?
I was taking the call sign. I heard is it 39er Mike?
No.
Number A3, correction, number 853, Niner Mike. Did you have a
I heard at Papa Hotel, I think. Look, he seems to be right behind you. Yeah, I thought so as well.
number 3, Niner Mike? Roger, yeah, I'm about to give you a turn here. Someone else was calling in to catch the call sign, but go ahead
Papa
and
Hotel,
make your
someone.
right turn heading 180.
Who was it?
Runway 20 right, localizer.
Was it also a VFR challenge participant? Ah, yeah. I can see the runway there. This is also what I love with photoreal, but also with Ultra XP what I'm flying. Oh, guys, did you see the...
Over 2 Alpha Romeo, Theta Parking via Charlie.
Well,
Alpha,
not really
Romeo
leaked,
frequency. Have a
but
great day.
screenshots I saw on Reddit of the next X Enviro 1.10.
39 Mike miles from Snake, maintain 3000 till established localizer.
Volumetric,
20 right approach.
procedural, kind of noisy, true sky kind of clouds. It looked unbelievable, literally. Anyways, Ultra XP, and now with that glare, that haziness, it's so tough to see the airport like in the real world. It's so pretty, I think. Come on. Yeah. It's fun that more Dutch people actually flying on the PilotEdge network. It's nice. Alrighty, still going strong. We need 1,500 feet to descend. There's the big runway of Palm Springs. So the shorter one, 3-1 right, is over there. So what we're going to do is go ahead here on the downwind. We're going to report midfield. And then hopefully get a clearance to land on 3-1 right. It's my favorite airport, as you know. This is the airport where I made my first radio call. Marcus.
Palm Springs Tower, Papa Hotel, Papa Mike Sierra, about 10 miles north.
That's
of
crash
the
tender.
fields, inbound for full stop at Palm Springs, Papa Mike Sierra.
I think it's crash tender.
Papa Hotel Mike, correction, Papa Hotel, Papa Mike Sierra, Palm Springs Tower. And you said you're inbound from the north?
Yes.
That's correct. We're inbound from the north, Papa Mike Sierra.
He sounds really
Papa
well
Mike
on the
Sierra,
radio.
Enter right downwind runway 31 right, report midfield.
Right downwind for 3-1 right, report midfield, Papa Mike Sierra.
Very good. I believe that's crash tender, but I don't know.
PHTIM, have you in sight, runway 31 right. Clear to land, winds on the border. It's currently 100 at 7.
I
If
know.
you prefer straight in runway 31 left, I can give it to you.
No, 3-1 right is just fine. We'll just continue with the downwind and then make our leap. It's fine.
Roger, November, PHTIM, runway 31 right, clear to land.
Clear land 3-1 right, Papa Delta Mike. It's so funny why she, but
Bonanza
also
39, contact John Wee Tower,
the other
126
controllers,
right.
except for Marcus, always refer to me as PHTIM rather than Papa Hotel Tango Mike. I think the crash tender was just referred to as Papa Hotel Tango India, no, not Tango India Mike, but with the proper words, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. That was a great first flight.
No 2 Alpha Romeo, my pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
Alright, so here's 3-1 right. It's a gorgeous airport. Still have 500 feet to go, so that's nicely timed. Already cleared to land, so we're free to go. Again, we're still lean, but I gradually increase, so I enriched my mixture, so that's good. Again, double check, make sure everything is set, parking brakes are released. Thanks both, yeah, good. We got winds coming from 110, at least that was the weather an hour ago. Because I set my own temperature here, 59 degrees Celsius. This is not good. Don't notice anything different from my engine, especially now with lower RPM. Alright, 3-1, that's downwind, already below 100 knots, so 1 notch of flaps, push down, a bit more power. Good. More. Crash tender is behind us. Remember to report midfield. Well, we don't need to report anymore. We got our clearance here. Already we're cleared to land. So, and that whole midpoint reporting thing, which happens quite often when you're flying VFR, is usually a strategy for the controllers to help them remind themselves that someone is inbound to land. So when I'm 10 miles or 15 miles out and I'm saying, hey, here I am, usually the tower controller says, well, go ahead, continue, but report when you're on the base or on the downwind, so I can have one final look to see if the runway is clear and then grant you your clearance to land. So it's a nice strategy for them to help themselves actually. Drifting off a bit, because we're already past midfield, I can also start it Should have actually also started
Aero
my,
420 Victor Lima, SoCal departure. Maintain appropriate view for
my
altitudes.
descent. Mixture full in. Good. Let's make our turn, guys. There we go. Alrighty. Bunch of flaps. There's the runway. We're high. And again, you'd rather be short on this turn than too long, because now we're flying very near to the glide slope there of 3-1 left. And no one is flying here, but same with John Wayne, for example. Okay, made the field. So full flaps. Bit of a crabbed angle. Watch that speed there. I mean, we are descending, but we should still have some buoyancy to do our round off. Okay, good. What a nice airport this is. Nose up, but then left rudders. Not really pleased with that. The whole maneuver was okay, but let's see if we can make it here. Well, we can. And there we are on Palm Springs, guys. There we are. Behind the threshold line at Foxtrot. Good. On the brakes. Let's see if we see crash tender then. Didn't listen actually on the radio, which is also not really proper. Is he already in the pattern? I don't know.
Departure for flex at 5790.
Lean for ground.
Departure.
Something that flaps are
Going
up.
to
Is good. Taxi. They don't need taxi lights.
Aero 0 Victor Lima, resume another gate.
Palm Springs Tower. Sky Pop Hotel Mike is clear of 3-1 right at Foxtrot taxi to the ramp east.
PHTIM, taxi to parking via Echo, remain this frequency.
Via Echo, remain on this frequency to the ramp. Thanks for the help, Pop Hotel Mike. Okay.
Aero 420 Victor,
and that concludes our little VFR challenge for today.
Palm Springs
Thank you,
Tower,
TG Man,
Papa
for
Mike
the follow.
Sierra on a downwind for 3-1 right. Papa
He's
Mike
on the
Sierra.
downwind. He's on the
420
downwind.
Lima, radar contact lost. Flagship 5790 SoCal departure.
Can we see
radar
him?
Contact, turn right, heading 340, climb and maintain 14,000.
And this is really what makes PilotEdge or can
PMS, runway 31 right, clear to land, wind 1007.
Copy winds, clear to land. Papa Mike Sierra.
Nice. This is really what can make PilotEdge even more fun if you fly with group flights. I think it also not only it makes it more social, but it can also be quite educational. Take for example, I mean, we're just flying with the two of us in this case. I think there was also some other pilot that was flying, or perhaps that's actually crash tender. I don't know. Imagine being with 5 people in the pattern at a towered airport. How would that work? Most definitely you will challenge yourself doing that, which is so totally different than flying a traffic pattern on your own on a towered field. It also is very potentially educational. And that's also what I liked about the spirit of the VFR challenge, is that when more of you guys feel interested to join, can join, then it also adds to the experience, to the learning, I think. Alrighty, here we go. Beautiful airport. It's so cozy. Behind our non-movement area line here. just in time for spotting a landing.
Flagship 5790, clear direct rave, join the departure.
I don't see anyone on final just yet. Ah, there he is. Woohoo! I'm gonna watch this. Yeah, he's gonna fly over. Oh, that's fine as well. This is gonna be pretty. Next to this citation. Alright, let's do this quickly. There we go. Boom! Avionics off. Off. Magnetos off. Batteries off. Parking brakes. Nice. Let's have a look. Hoo 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 hoo. There he goes. Yeah, it was the Baron. Oh, this is a pretty nice landing. Yeah, a little bit skidding over the runway. And as you can see, we got a tailwind there. That's what she said as well when we arrived at Palm Springs, or when we were 10 miles out, like saying, hey, well, the wind is actually a bit edgy. Actually should come from the other side. And I thought, well, let's just do our thing. Very, very nice. Even flying just with one single person is cool. And it's such a nice airfield, I think. It's so pretty. And the weather is always good at Palm Springs. You've got your non-towered fields nearby. This is the place to be. Are you taking off, Gary Carter? No, I don't. So it's Corvette, I wish I could join. I don't have PilotEdge. Yeah. Well, you got a 2-week free trial that you can use, so you can join us twice if you like. You don't need to provide any credit card stuff. So that's always something that you can use. So look at the tower there and the terminal. And I believe this airport is even freely available on the xplane.org site. I think it looks really awesome. Again, this is the non-movement area. So from this point out, there is no ATC governance, you could say, over this area. So you can make pirouettes or do whatever you like. You can also, when you start up your engine, something that I don't really do that often, already taxi to that line as if it were a threshold line. It is in a way. And then request your taxi. Hoo-ha! Now that's a pretty sight, I think. That's awesome. Sunday, remember my first Oceana MPA was scared at first, but now it's all good. Yeah, exactly. I also started at Oceano, which was really, really cool. I was also so excited, just being there, connected to the network, and I was just sitting there and explaining, seeing or trying to spot any other aircraft. Yeah, I will never forget that, let alone my first radio contact. Pretty cherish that moment, guys. If you ever consider flying on PilotEdge, it feels as the real thing, making your first ATC contact. Yes, so this was really, really nice. Again, I think it was Crash Center. whoever it was who was joined here at that beach Baron, thank you for joining. Much appreciated. Makes the experience much more fun. Hoping that I made some nice shots here when you landed here on 3-1 right. Disconnect. Control P. This was our flight's path. Let's look at this landing. Yeah, so you can definitely see me struggling here. I did feel indeed that we were being pushed to the left, but that was actually a tailwind, a cross tailwind, which is bad. Always land at a headwind. Now I could have actually changed my approach. The controller already mentioned like, hey, the winds are actually in favor of the other side as well. I don't know actually why I didn't acknowledge that. I just thought, oh well, let's just continue. I could have just gone into a straight in. I don't know. Affirmative, Roger Crash. Well, thank you again for joining. This was fun, wasn't it? I mean, I think this is really fun. What we should do next time, but I don't know what the frequency is, because perhaps you knew, is the air-to-air, if you like, the pilot-to-pilot frequency on PilotEdge. I believe it was 1 to 1.75 or 1 to 1 point something. Don't know what it is. And we can use that. We can monitor the COM2 while we are flying. We can even chat if you like while we are flying. Anyways, yeah, so I could have actually gone straight in, which I didn't, don't know why. So this was actually a bit tricky, even though I have to say that, but we're going to look at this in just a second, my my technique here for transitioning from a crab position into the wind to a forward slip was actually quite smooth. But I should have actually increased, be more aggressive with my aileron turn there, I believe. And that's what got me off of the center line. And yeah, in terms of flying, yeah, we went all the way. All the circling over there we did for that Yucca thing, which was nice, but again proves my limited knowledge of how to use the GPS. It's fun. So I still need to look at that. We came in here, we're a bit high, yeah, so you can already start your descent in the traffic pattern once you are midfield. Then you can already start your descent and then transition into that base lag. I didn't, so I was still flying at traffic pattern altitude when I was already a beam the numbers even far ahead, and so I need to get rid of all that altitude. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Where are we? Are we already that far away? Where are we? Thanks for the follow, Dulari. Thank you. Appreciate it. We are here. Taxiing. Yes, this is no. Yeah. Don't need the flight path anymore. So here we're coming in. You can see we're crabbed, right? Pointing to the right. Now let's see what I did here. And transition. Good. More aileron. Or I was actually a bit too aggressive with my rudders. And slow-mo. So here I'm trying to correct, right? So still crabbed. Flaring for... Yeah, I'm increasing my pitch. Yes. And here I'm transitioning, putting the left rudder in, but here I should stopped. And I went far too far. So now obviously when I hit the runway, I'm going to skid over to that direction. Not even skid, I'm just going to shoot off to that direction. And that's what happens. Okay. Okay. So I should actually stabilize my forward slip. There's also a way by which you already start your forward slip much earlier. You can also forward slip down, obviously, and so you can already have a feel for how much degree of aileron and rudder you need actually to stay in that forward slip, rather than just doing that on luck almost the very last second that I did. Microsoft Game Rain, what's the progress on the 172? Guys, I'm so glad that you're actually interested in the 172. I'm also interested in the 172. I first need to finish off my IFR training. That's the idea, and then I'm going to continue with the 172 build. So that project is still ongoing. But because of my limited time, I'm doing my PhD, I'm writing a book, I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Just upgraded my cockpit. I'm really enjoying myself, and I would also enjoy doing my IFR and my Skyhawk build, but I just don't find the time. So I'm just juggling here and doing whatever I'd like to, and this is the VFR challenge. I am thinking about getting another streaming day going in the week, even though I'm that busy. But I need to redo my schedule, do my IFR. I like to do my I ratings first, and then I'm going to pick up my 172 project. And that means, in my case, I've already completed the PlaneMaker model, even though PlaneMaker has been updated recently. So I'm going to review the model still, and then I'm going to start with Blender, so the actual fancy 3D modeling of the Skyhawk, which I cannot wait to do. With all of the pictures that I made from my local 172S here at my local airport here. It's not my 172, by the way, but the one that I'm used to. And then we're going to make our own study level 172 for X-Plane, which is going to be much more animated. Also, the actual flight model is already much more accurate than the default 172. And just to become a bit of an aircraft engineer as well, while still flying. So there's so much stuff to do, guys. It's really interesting. Microsoft sounds good. Well, glad you think that sounds good. Again, thank you for that interest. It's still on my mind, the 172, but again, Kristen, there's just too much stuff that is fun to do. Exactly. And this was fun too, Crash. You sounded really good on the radio. You really sounded good on the radio. I mean, that was a short learning, steep learning curve for you, I guess. I mean, you started with PilotEdge, I believe, just a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, someday. The tower at the back. Also like to learn how to record my own sound sets, my custom sound pack for the for our 172. Also, by the way, the 172 is going to be freeware. I just like to make the most awesome study level 172 there is for X-Plane with my limited. I don't know if I can, but I will try. And also, just not only just that project is not just about building an airplane for the sake of building an airplane. Already we have the Simcoach 172 here, and this wonderful airplane, the full airplane in X-Plane. It's already very good. I think it can be better though, and also a bit more realistic, but hey, that's actually a minor thing. For me personally, also just learning how to make an airplane, an X-Plane, and also specifically 172 makes me so much more knowledgeable and familiar with the airframe and subtleties of the airframe. Dihedral angles, angle of incidences, the propeller, those also have angle of incidence. You have so many subtle, very nice facts about the 172 that also can be generalized to just general airframes, not only specific for the 172. I think that's really fun, and it also makes you appreciate, I think, an airplane more. How nice the design actually is, how well it can actually fly. And that's actually my primary aim for building the 172, is just to also become more familiar with the airplane itself, and the engine, and the electronic systems and stuff. And we already did a lot of work there. Very nice. Alright guys, anything else? Yeah. Should still fly the Cat 3. Yeah, you should. But you're making progress, Crash. And again, guys, if any one of you who's watching PilotEdge account Monday 17:30, especially, well, not only if you're Dutch, but any European PilotEdge member who has time on that Monday, feel free to join. It's so much fun, and especially if we're on that air-to-air frequency, pilot frequency, we can chat as well, and we can just get a flow going, a rhythm going of flying VFR every week, and I think that's really, really cool. And also get to know new friends. On the Discord, on my Discord, you can find many more people who are very serious about flight simming as well. Small GA, aircraft flying, also PilotEdge, and we share all kinds of tips and interesting news on flight sim and share our cockpit pictures, home cockpit pictures. So if you're really digging this content, be sure to hop over to my Discord channel as well. You can find the link also here in one of the information pages on my Twitch channel, but you can also find it in the description, video description on my YouTube, on this particular YouTube video, once I export it. Discord is a really nice place to be and meet new flight sim buddies, I would say. Dolary, any more flights today? No, it's 9 o'clock in the evening here in the Netherlands, so I've consumed my time here flying this VFR challenge, and it was fun. It was fun, but I'm a bit in a I have limited time, limited free time, and I'm really focused on IFR. I'm really studying a lot actually outside of streaming. Reading about procedures and videos, King School video courses, also PilotEdge's real world IFR videos. So I'm quite learning a lot, and I think intellectually though I think I can already fly up to I rating 8 or 9 or so, perhaps even more. So intellectually I'm getting quite familiar and comfortable with a lot of the procedures and just the system alone. But obviously learning by doing is a very valuable strategy. I mean, just having an intellectual understanding of IFR is fine, but actually doing that and multitasking and also getting a more higher increased cognitive load and need to deal with that. And I mean, obviously I still need to actually prove that I can fly. That's fun. Let me see. Just have a few minutes left. Let me grab my iPad here. I'll show you on screen in just a sec. UncertifiedPilot.com. Let's see how many training flights I already did, how far I progressed through my curriculum. So UncertifiedPilot.com, my personal blog. So here I log everything that I'm doing. And here we have inbound IFR and the instrument rating flight simulator course. Instrument rating flight simulator course. Again, made this training curriculum program just by myself, verified it with Keith and with flight instructors. So this was actually the 5-staged curriculum, or is still the 5-stage curriculum that I'm following just to nail my IFR flying and to really become as close to a real world IFR instrument rating as I possibly can in flight sim. That's the mission. Already in season 2 here. Season 2 is IFR. Season 1 was about VFR with all the CAT ratings that I completed. So here, yeah, stage 1 was just basic practical maneuvers. So constant rate turns, climbs, descents, recoveries from partial instrument. That was really, really, really fun. I think now I am at stage 4. Yeah, so I did all kinds of pretty much all types of approaches in terms of practice approaches. So the charted visual approach and the ILS approach I did, and the localized back course approach with circling, which was really, really fun. The LDA approach I did, the VOR approach I did, that was interesting. The VOR approach into Burbank, that was really, really nice. Keith was controlling at that time. The NDB approach I did, and the last one, which is actually not that difficult, but I still like to check that off of my list, is the RNAV approach, so using my GNS. So that's up next. So that's just a practice approach, I think into St. Louis Airport. I put here Palomar Airport, but I think I'm going to change that. And then once I did that, I familiarized myself with all of those approaches. And then stage 5, before my I ratings, I just like to prepare. You can also use the I ratings as practice flights as well. That's what they are made for, but I'm seeing those as a check ride, so I'd like to prepare myself before I do those. then I'm going to do my first complete IFR flight, getting my IFR clearance. I cannot wait. Conventional IFR flight from a towered airport to another. Now that has to be from Palm Springs to somewhere else. This is the airport, the virtual airport where, for me, my real flight training started. Well, actually that's Mags Field in Chicago, from Flight Simulator 5 when me and my dad were learning to fly on the computer. But in terms of PilotEdge, my next stage of training, that was really Palm Springs here on PilotEdge. So IFR flights from a towered field to the next, also from an untowered field to an untowered field. IFR is interesting. So just to get all of those different elements of IFR flying together, I think that's nice for me to experience before I go to my I ratings, at least in my program. Tech routing, yeah, which is not really that much. I think we're also going to use tech routing for the first flight. So tech routing, because there's the airspace is so dense here in Southern California, the air traffic controllers actually made a few routes, preferred routes you could say, to use to get from one airport to the next. And you can make use of those tech routes. Which is not really, doesn't deserve actually a separate flight. I think I'm going to remove that one. Picking up and closing an IFR en route. Yeah, we could. Well, that's fun. It's fun to demonstrate. And the lost communication procedures. Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. Now, I mean, that's fun to practice though. It's fun to practice. We can also just, or practice, what we could do is just start an IFR flight. And just deliberately make our radios fail and just see what happens while remaining on PilotEdge and just do our thing. And then afterwards listening to ATC to see what kind of chaos we might create. And if all goes well, we haven't created any chaos because we will change our transponder and we just continue with our flight. Or continue with our flight as best as we can. Perhaps we're going to divert or whatever we're going to do, and we should be fine. But I'd like to demonstrate or learn or experience that as well. And then the I ratings. Let me see. These are 11 ratings, I believe, and there's one that is actually, yeah, it's retired. The 09er rating. Yeah. And then I think I can call myself a decent instrument rated flight sim pilot, which is really, really fun. And then I'm going to pick up my Skyhawk 172 project again. So not too many flights, to be honest, but I really need to stick to a schedule and do this. And flying only once a week is already too little alone. So I actually should fly 2 times a week, and that second time should be about my IFR training, so I need to do all kinds of rescheduling. Sunday, picking up IFR cleans and ride is interesting. Yeah, I think so as well. Alrighty then. Guys, that completes my flight for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Fuzzles, thank you for the follow. And Sunday, thank you for the follow. Corvette, obviously. TJ Man and Dolari. I appreciate those follows, guys. Thank you so much. Also, Crash Center, obviously, thank you for joining in and flying with me to Palm Springs. You sound really, really good on the radio. Good to hear your voice for the first time on PilotEdge. Welcome to the PilotEdge Aviation Club. We hope to see you many, many times in the future during these VFR challenges and beyond. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Again, I love your presence here. Next week, next Monday, I will be here again with a new VFR challenge. So if you're interested in joining, be sure to follow me on Twitter and on my Discord, and you'll be the first to know what challenge is coming up next. And yeah, as always, happy flights and blue skies. Bye. Palm Springs Tower, Skyline Hotel Tango, Mike is 10 miles north of the airport at 3000. With information X-ray and for a full stop. Landing 13 left if that's available.
Hotel Tango, India Link, Palm Springs Tower, squawk 6250.
6250.
Hotel Tango, India Link, Palm Springs altimeter is 2985, radar contact about 10 miles west of the Palm Springs VOR. Presently landing runway 31, so you're requesting straight in for 13.
That's a bit.
Correction, Papa Hotel Pilots 4658 is clear to Las Vegas Airport. VFI Cathedral 1 departure procedure to Palm Springs. Victor 370 to 29 Palms. Victor 538. Cresso. Join the Cresso 3 arrival. Maintain 7,000. Expect flight level 2405 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 126.7. Squawk 6316.
Pilots 4675 is cleared to Vegas via Cathedral 1, Palm Springs, Victor 37029, Palms, Victor 538, Cresso 3. Initially climb 7,000 expected for 0 after 5, departure 167, spark 6 passengers inside.
Pilots 4658, 3 back is correct. Taxiing Mike, exit the ramp via Admiral Numbers frequency.
Taxiing to the ramp. Remain on this frequency. Hotel Tango Mike.
Ontario Tower says the 237 Charlie Alpha approximately 4 miles to the west inbound to land.
Number 237 Charlie Alpha, roger. Enter left traffic. Left downwind runway 26 left, report base.
Enter left downwind for 26 left and report your base 237 Charlie Alpha.